We are going to continue with writing the budget class, and I'm going to show you the driver program first, and then we will look at how to write another class. This example is also going to introduce you to a static class member variable. We will use an array of objects. Our array will be an array of budget objects, and I will show you how to use an inline method in the header class. Before we get to that, we'll just glance at the driver program that we have here. And in our driver program, we are going to work with or declare an array of budget items. We are going to get the budget request for each division. We're going to display the budget request for each division. And then we are going to display the total budget for the entire corporation. And I'm going to come back to this main program. I just wanted to give you an overview of it before we went to write the budget class. The budget class has been written, but I'm going to fill in the details for this. And before we start, I do want to show you there is a feature in our views where I can view a class diagram. And over here I can right click and view the class diagram. And I can expand on the class diagram. And if I highlight corporate budget, it tells me what data type it is. It tells me the access specifier. And that is kind of a nice feature just to know that it is there. It also basically repeats what we had in our class diagram that we sketched out before. To write our budget class, we are going to demonstrate using inline methods. And an inline method is a method written entirely within the header file. That is usually reserved for very short methods. Since we don't have very many methods in this class, I'm going to demonstrate that here. We are also going to use a static class variable, and a static class variable is a variable that belongs to the entire class. It does not belong to each instance of an object, even though it's declared within that class. And also, we are going to just highlight that I'm using the pound if not defined, pound define, and pound end if format right here, instead of pound pragma once. You can use pound pragma once when you're writing your classes. Pound pragma once is probably the industry standard right now. This is the older style, so I wanted to show it to you once more so you are familiar with it in case you run across it. This is what using pound pragma once would look like, and then you would delete these other two lines of code, and you would delete the pound if and def. I'm going to leave the old style there for right now, but just wanted to point that out, what it would look like. I also copied over or took from our class diagram just the prototypes for our methods. And just a hint that this is often something I do when I'm writing a class. I will take the prototypes for a method and I will take it from my .h file into my implementation file. But because we're writing all of the methods in line, I'm not going to have an implementation file. I'm not going to have a .cpp. So I need to write all 4 of these methods, and they have already been written, but just to show you what it might look like if you were having to write a separate .cpp file is to copy over those prototypes, and that gives you a model to follow. So the budget constructor is going to set the division budget to 0. So every single division that's created is going to have a budget starting at 0. We are also going to then write the add budget method. And add budget, if we look at our prototype, brings in a double. It's going to be an amount. And when I add to my division budget, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to add that amount to division budget. Remember, this shortcut is the same as saying division budget is assigned division budget plus amount. And every time an amount gets added to the division budget, I also want to tally up or accumulate that to the corporate budget. So I'm going to add the same amount to the corporate budget. When I add that amount to the corporate budget, it's making use of my static class level variable. So it actually tallies all budgets across each division. The last two methods that I need to write are my get division budget and get corporate budget, and those are just return methods. Those are typical and accepted inline methods because all they're doing is one thing, is returning the division budget. If you notice the style for this inline method, I have everything written on one line rather than putting the curly braces and spacing it out, something like this. It is an acceptable style to do an inline method all on one line. I put that last one back on one line, so I'm going to leave that. The other reason I like to copy over my methods from the class diagram is as I get done with them, a lot of times I will just delete, so I know I'm done with that, and I've finished writing all of those methods, so now I'm done. This is our budget class. That's going to end this video. I will show the implementation of this class using arrays in the driver program in our next video.